I'm Jeremy Hill of the Justin Journal, coming to you from higher grounds here in Justin. Today we're talking with Daniel Dennis, the current City Council Place 5 member who is running for another term. We'll hear about his priorities for the city, his vision for the future, and what motivates him as a community leader. Stay with us to get a closer look at the Councilman Dennis and his plans for Justin. To start, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for City Council?
So my wife and I have lived in the Texas area for about 15 years, and my wife is a native Texan, but I'm not from here. But I moved here as fast as I can, right? So um, we lived in Grapevine for a while. We loved the city over there, but then we were looking to buy our first home, so we expanded our search. We were looking at Roanoke and a couple other cities, but Justin really stood out to me, and we saw that it was growing, and we really loved the feel of Justin and like that, the small town feel that everybody talks about. We kind of were attracted to that as well, and so we moved here in 2020 in the middle of COVID and everything else. We bought our home, and we love our neighborhood. We love the people over here. We really got to know people and got to be plugged in a little bit in the city. And so the opportunity came up where there was a vacant council position because someone had resigned. And so someone told me, "Hey, you should run for city council." And I was like, "What? No, me? I'm not that kind of guy. That's not me." Um, so that was my first response, right? So, but then I thought about it, and yeah, I did some research on what it takes to be a council member, and it seemed kind of interesting to me, even though my first reaction was no. And I think my initial hesitation was really campaigning because I don't, that's really, I guess, not my thing. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to brag and talk about, I can do this and I can do that or make promises. That's not me. So, but the job itself was really interesting, and what it entails, like what city governance entails, that that kind of fascinated me. And so I did more research, and I decided, you know what, let me just go for it. So I ran for that unexpired term for 1 year. I lost that, and the funny thing is, initially I was like, I don't really care if I win or not. I'm just gonna put my name in there, on the ballot, and let's just go for it. But losing sucks, and that I was like, man, this sucks, So, but the next year, that term, the full term, came up again for election, and so I was like, well, let me give it another shot, and I tried again, and I didn't really again hit it hard on the campaigning like normal campaigns. What my focus was mainly about being present, uh, being available to people, to talk through issues that they're facing. Okay, what my stance is on different topics, and also focused heavily on education as well, like trying to put out videos to educate the people about, okay, what is this, why do we have place numbers? And again, I don't think place numbers is really the right way to go for city council members. I think really should be at large. But so I put some videos out there, and that's really that was one of the motivations. And also, we felt like we really need to be involved in our city, in the decisions that are made. And one of my biggest standpoint was really lowering property taxes. And I felt like in the past, before I was elected, every year, the de minimis rate was the automatic go to, and I felt like nobody was fighting that. Nobody had anything to say. Hey, let's not go all the way to the max that we can tax our people on, and let's go, let's find a medium point between what we're currently taxing them and what the maximum rate is. So, and I felt like, okay, there's no one fighting for that either. So that was a big point for me. And obviously, looking at bringing more businesses to the area. I'm a business owner myself, and I love kind of an entrepreneurial visionary, and so I felt like my experience in business and managing people really be beneficial in helping the city grow the economic part of it as well.
What accomplishments from your last term are you most proud of?
I think the biggest accomplishment, if you will, would be really being that hard stance on the property tax, like I just mentioned. Now, I wasn't able to get it down to the rate that I wanted, but I felt like because of the pushback and really arguing on this stand on keeping taxes low, I felt like we were able to meet, at a midpoint. And every year, the last 2 years, I've fought on that, and that's, if I get reelected, that's going to be my number one thing, is to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. And I think it's pushing to look at everything on the budget, not just go with what we've approved in the past just because it's on the budget. And then every year our property values go up, and so every year the city gets more money. And yeah, I'm not saying we need to keep reduce the tax rate to give the city less money. We want growth. We need money. There's obviously inflation, costs are higher, and so how can we manage that strategically and balance that? So that's one thing. And then I feel like we've made a lot of progress in terms of developer agreements. We've signed agreements with Kemper Sports. That was a big thing in the last 2 years. Revitalizing our recreational facilities. A great project in plan. Something coming down the pipeline, right? So the Dream project, so that the Dream complex, and so all of this, I think that's really exciting. We have some other major developments. We've expanded the city limits. We've annexed more land to the west of us, and so that's growing our tax base. Again, a couple of ways we can make sure the tax rate is low, but also we're expanding in terms of more developments. So that's one thing. Now we're also looking at all of these new developments coming in, and so keeping the property tax rate low is one thing, but being able to bring more development, but manage that properly, being able to bring more businesses in here, commercial development, and that's really what will help us balance the tax rate, balance our revenue, increase our revenues all at the same time. And I feel like we've had a lot of new businesses move in the last 2 years. We're seeing a lot of movement in Justin Town Square, a lot of businesses moving in there, buildings are coming up, and there are a lot of exciting things on the, in the pipeline for the future as well that I can't talk about because it's on, in our executive session. But we have some amazing things coming to Justin.
If reelected, what would your top priorities be?
So if I get reelected, a couple of my top priorities, again, like I mentioned, would be to keep fighting for lower taxes, but also continue the focus on economic development, get that balanced revenue for our city. So we're already, working on agreements to have more commercial development. We're working on really not just willy-nilly approving anybody that wants to develop, but we're looking at each developer agreement, honing the negotiations, making sure that it's best aligned for our city, for the residents, that the specific use is what the citizens want, and also in terms of financial alignment, that it really benefits the city. And then obviously looking at more community recreational spaces, if you will. So we just passed the Old Town overlay and the plan, and I think we have some really great things coming in the pipeline for what Old Town really needs to look like, and revitalizing that area. And passing the plan was the first stage, and so now we can be really intentional about creating spaces that our citizens can really enjoy. And then that's part of the small town feel that everybody wants, is in creating these spaces that we can all come together and be a part of.
Realistically, what do you hope to accomplish in the next 2 years?
What I hope to accomplish in the next few years really would be to see a vibrant Justin, right? And vibrant in the sense not just more people, more traffic, because that's really what none of us really want, but we want to see businesses that excite people to move to Justin, and we want people to move to Justin that are excited about living here, about spending money here locally. We want to see businesses that are just another business. Obviously, we're really pushing for is a huge, big grocery store, and that's definitely in the pipeline. And we're really working towards being able to have a big grocer come into town, and I think everybody's going to be excited about that for sure. And I think we can make that happen realistically in the next 2 years. And on top of that, again, I want to see more park spaces, maybe walking trails that's been in the talk. We've been talking about it for a while now. So walking trails that connect each other, and so I would like to see all of that happen in the next 2 years.
Looking further ahead, where do you see Justin in 5 to 10 years?
So yeah, once I leave the city council, at the end of the term allotted or allowed to us, I feel like Justin is already on the path to, I think, 20,000 plus people, right, in the next 10 years or so. And I feel like a lot of the decisions that we make now will affect us in 10 years from now. And we may not even see, like the council members that are in office now, we may not see all the fruit of our labors, if you will, right? So we're dealing with things that the past councils have made decisions on 5, 10 years ago, and a lot of times we're having to undo a lot of their mistakes and fix things. And so I envision a Justin that again is thriving, that is close knit, and I think that's part of the small town feel is how plugged in are the residents to what's happening here, and that's really where we can all enjoy the what the town has to offer, right? So that's one thing, and also I'm looking forward to seeing our roads develop as well. It's all in the pipeline. 407 realignment and the overpass that's supposed to come over here. So a lot of exciting things that are coming, which are 5 to 10 years down the line, and that's what I'm excited for.
What do you see as the biggest challenge or headwind facing Justin right now and the person who wins this race?
I think the biggest challenge right now would be our road infrastructure, traffic. We're already seeing traffic increase. We have all the homes coming in being built in tree line outside of city limits. We have all the developments coming in within our city limits, and so we're going to see this influx of traffic and people in here, right? And so I think the biggest challenge is that our infrastructure is going to struggle a little bit before we can actually expand. And unfortunately, a lot of what we have to deal with is TxDOT. And the way it works is they wait till things break before agreeing to fix it, right? So obviously there are traffic studies and all of these different things that have to happen before they agree to expanding roads and things like that. So it takes time, and there's the growing pains, obviously, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And I think well, really, and then water and sewer would be another challenge, but we already have things in the pipeline for that. We're discontinuing our water treatment plant and connecting to the Upper Trinity sewer facility, and so we already have things in the pipeline to take care of some of the issues that we anticipate will be coming.
What do you believe is the proper role of local government, and how should taxpayers' dollars be prioritized?
So the local government, our one job is to represent the people. So we're elected to be that voice. We're the liaison, right? So the city manager and his staff, they're the ones responsible for taking care of everything, managing the day to day, making all the decisions really. But we're supposed to be there to direct them, based on what the residents want. And I think the biggest thing that we need to be aware of is that we're not there to push our own agenda. We're not there to do what we want to do really in the city, but be that voice for our citizens and really get out there and listen to our constituents and see, okay, what do y'all want to see over here? And really our only job is to kind of guide the process, make sure that we're making the right laws and ordinances to help protect our community, to bring about to strategically manage the growth, to really manage the city from an over from like that, I don't know, 200,000 feet view really. So it's not our job to micromanage anything in the city, but rather provide that direction after having listened to our citizens.
There's been a discussion around term limits here in Justin. Do you think Justin should consider changes to the mayoral term limit?
So we do have term limits in place already, especially after we passed the city charter. We also went ahead and there were a few amendments to that recently. Now, I think term limits are great because you don't want someone that's just in there for 10, 20 years and things get stuck in a rut, if you will, right? We want fresh eyes on what's happening, and so it's always good to have term limits. And I think for the mayoral, I may be wrong on this, but I believe it's 3 terms of 3-year terms. So I think that's a good time frame, because obviously someone starting out as a mayor, there's a lot to learn. Even if you've had experience before as a mayor, coming to Justin, you're dealing with local problems and trying to get up to speed with what's happening in the city. So there is that learning curve, and I think it's good to have some sort of time frame to actually be able to get things done. And for the mayor, 9 years sounds like a good time frame.
With residents increasingly asking for transparency, what specific changes would you support to ensure that community stays informed?
Transparency in government, I think, is one of the biggest, most important things. And we've definitely pushed for increased transparency. Even in the last 2 years, we've seen things happen in the past where a lot of decisions were made without any sort of transparency. Like developer agreements were signed in closed rooms with no record of how this even got signed. So we've already put things in place to kind of change that and make sure that there's more transparency. And we're continuing our video broadcasting of every council meeting, making sure that everybody has a chance to see what's happening, and it's recorded for all time, even if you can't really physically come to the meeting yourself. And it's great to have all that so that you can even go back and wait, what did happen in that meeting? You can go back and see what happened, and that's with a lot of our meetings as well. So that's one thing, and I think continuing to make sure that there are safeguards in place to make sure that no one can just make decisions on huge amounts of money without having the council sign off on it and different things of that. So I believe there's a lot of safeguards in place, but we can always continue to monitor that and make sure that we are complying to what the citizens want in terms of transparency.
The role of city council often requires daytime availability for things like developer meetings, ribbon cuttings, and community events. What does your daytime availability look like?
Sure. So the good thing about my work schedule is that I work from home, and my wife and I, we run our own businesses, and so we're flexible with our schedule. And I'm big on calendaring everything out. So everything's on my calendar. I live by my calendar, and so it's all about making sure you move things around. I can be flexible with my work meetings if there's a important city meeting that needs to happen. And we've had days where we've had to go for 2 full days in governance training, and my work, because of my work schedule and the flexibility, I was able to take the time off for that. And so I think that has helped a lot in terms of being available.
What is your overall approach to staying accessible and maintaining consistent engagement with residents?
So I feel like I'm an open book, and I've every person I meet, I've been able to tell them that, hey, you can contact me at any time. My contact info is on the city website, and I've tried to be diligent in responding to any requests to meet or to have conversations. And I feel like, you know, I want to be available as much as I can, and I think people have been able to get a hold of me if they needed to.
On a lighter note, what is your favorite drink?
My favorite drink would probably be an old fashioned, and if you want to go with non-alcoholic drinks, I like Dr. Pepper.
What do you do for fun when not serving the city?
For fun, obviously, we have so much going on, and so with our work schedule, with city business and all that, so really in my spare time, I think family is the most important thing. And so getting time to spend with my wife and my 18-month-old daughter now, that's really the main thing. And so we like to go hiking. We go to a couple of walking trails nearby, take her hiking. We like to go out to eat, or just unwind, watch a movie. That's usually rare. Just having time to sit and watch a movie without having to work or answer emails or anything else. So.
Finally, and probably most importantly, why should the citizens of Justin vote for you?
I believe the citizens of Justin should vote for me because I have a track record of what my stance has been on a lot of the issues surrounding the city, and I think everything is like I mentioned, everything's online. People can go back and see what my voting record is, and I'm known as the fiscal conservative on the council for a good reason, right? So I'm definitely pushing to fight for what the citizens want, and I believe that we're seeing extreme growth in the city, and I believe that what my experience and my past record shows that I would be a good candidate to continue being that voice for the citizens on the city council.
Thank you. We'd like to thank Higher Grounds here in Justin for letting us use their space to record these interviews. The Justin Journal is committing to providing information for our community and does not endorse any candidate. Our goal is to simply give residents the opportunity to hear directly from those running an office.